At first glance, the 1968 Liberty quarter dollar looks ordinary. You may have held one in your hand, spent one at a shop, or ignored it entirely in loose change. But what if I told you? This simple 25-cent coin was born during one of the most dramatic turning points in American monetary history, a time when silver vanished from US coins, when people hoarded pocket change out of fear, and when myths spread that some quarters were secretly worth fortunes. Today, some 1968 quarters sell for just 25 cents, while others quietly fetch hundreds, or even thousands, of dollars at auction. This is the hidden story of the 1968 Liberty quarter dollar. Officially, the coin is known as the 1968 Washington quarter, but many collectors and everyday Americans refer to it as the Liberty quarter, because the word Liberty dominates the top of the obverse. Basic specifications: a denomination, 25 cents. A year, 1968. A designer, John Flanagan. A metal composition, a 75% copper, a 25% nickel. A weight, 5.67 grams. A edge, reeded. This was not a silver coin, and that fact alone places it at the heart of controversy. To understand the 1968 quarter, we must go back just a few years earlier, the end of silver coinage. Until 1964, US quarters were made of 90% silver, but rising silver prices made coins more valuable as metal than money. People began hoarding coins, melting them, removing them from circulation. By 1965, the US Mint made a historic decision. Silver was removed from quarters entirely. The 1968 quarter was only the fourth year of this new copper-nickel era, and Americans were furious. Many people believed the government was devaluing money, hiding silver shortages, secretly minting silver coins anyway. Rumors spread quickly. Some 1968 quarters are secretly silver. The government mixed silver into certain batches. Look for quarters without mint marks, they're special. These rumors created one of the biggest coin myths in US history. One of the most confusing aspects of the 1968 quarter is the mint mark. Where were 1968 quarters minted? D. Denver Mint. S. San Francisco Mint. But here's the twist. No quarters in 1968 were made in Philadelphia. Yet, some quarters appear to have no mint mark. Why? In 1965 to 1967, the US Mint temporarily removed mint marks to discourage hoarding. In 1968, mint marks returned, but some coins were weakly struck. This gave rise to the myth of the no mint mark 1968 quarter. Let's address the biggest myth head-on. No standard 1968 quarters were struck in silver. If someone claims they have, a silver-colored 1968 quarter, a heavy quarter, a quarter that sounds different, it is almost always plated after minting, altered, or simply worn copper-nickel. However, there is one exception. In 1968, the US Mint resumed proof coin production at San Francisco. But here's the key fact. 1968 proof quarters were not silver. Silver proof quarters did not return until 1992. So any claim of a 1968 silver proof quarter is false. Yet, this myth continues to circulate even today. A George Washington faces left. A Liberty crowns the top. In God we trust appears to the left. A date 1968 at the bottom. Washington symbolizes a stability, a leadership, a continuity during uncertain times, a bald eagle with outstretched wings, olive branches below, a pluribus unum above. Even during economic change, the imagery projected strength and unity. The 1968 quarter was heavily minted. A Denver, D over 101 million coins. A San Francisco, S over 220 million coins. Because of this, most 1968 quarters are not rare. But condition changes everything. In circulated condition, a value equals 25 cents to 50 cents. But in mint state, MS63, MS65 coins begin to rise in value. A sharp details, no wear, original luster. In high-grade MS67 or higher, prices jump dramatically. A competition among collectors increases. This is where the 1968 quarter becomes exciting. Valuable errors include air off-center strikes, coins struck partially off the blank, a value, $100 to $500 plus, air double die errors, visible doubling in, air liberty, in God we trust, a date 1968, value can exceed $300 to $1,000, or clipped planchets, coins missing metal sections, a highly collectible, a value depends on visibility, a wrong planchet errors, extremely rare, a can sell for thousands, the 1968S. Proof quarter was the first proof quarter struck in San Francisco. Characteristics: a mirror-like fields, a frosted design, a sharper details. 2. Inspect under magnification. 3. Weigh the coin, should be 5.67 g. 4. Look for doubling or misalignment. 5. Compare with verified examples. Never clean the coin. Cleaning destroys value. The 1968 Liberty quarter dollar is more than spare change. It marks the end of silver, a public mistrust in currency, the survival of classic American design. Most are worth just a quarter, but some carry stories and prices that far exceed their face value. So the next time you find a 1968 quarter in your pocket, look again. History might be staring back at you.